with disabilities, I suppose the first question that must have popped in everybody's mind is, amongst all the vulnerable groups in women, why talk about women with disabilities and not about Dalit women or poor women or women from religious minorities? That's a very good question. I would say talking about women with disabilities is important at two levels. One, because they are a major part of the population and they are part of the entire strata of society. So you will find Dalit women who are disabled, you will find poor women who are disabled, you will find rich and affluent women who are disabled, you will find disabled women in middle class, disabled women in various religious communities or of various faiths. So they're across the board. Secondly, the World Health Organization had in the 1980s said that 10% of any given population you can assume is of persons with disabilities. So, according to the 2011 census, I noted this out, the female population is about 58 crores. So, my maths is not good. But with even 58 crores, I'm assuming the 10% of that would be a very huge number and spread across the various stratas of our society. The important question then is, what makes them more special or in consideration of sexual offences or as victims of sexual abuse? What adds to their vulnerability apart from being women? Would anyone like to say what they feel adds to their vulnerability by being disabled women?
I would say, someone like Down syndrome, they cannot at times take decisions for themselves. And somebody can kind of take advantage of their situation.
Yes. We would call that, let's categorize it as saying there are some of them, some categories especially are dependent on others. Any other?
Well, in a country like ours, being a woman in itself is considered a disability. And
yes.
We talk about more disabilities, so there are multiple disabilities that we talk about.
Yeah, right. Let's say if there's a woman who's being attacked, she's deaf and mute. It becomes much more difficult for her to raise an alarm than it would be for another woman, or if you're physically disabled. So, incapacity to flee or defenselessness. Communication skills is another very important factor in their vulnerability. Not being able to communicate, and for a lot of women with disabilities, especially those with intellectual disabilities, it even becomes difficult for them to realize that what is being done to them is an offense or is not right. There was a study which was carried out in Odisha, and it was on domestic violence of women with disabilities, and they'd taken 3 groups, intellectually disabled, deaf and mute, and physically disabled. And initially when they had formulated their questionnaire on very simple terms, saying have you been sexually assaulted, so on and so forth, they got practically no response. Everybody said no. But when they changed their questions to more simpler versions for them, saying, has anybody ever touched you in a way which made you feel uncomfortable, they started getting responses in the positive. So communication is a problem, and then communicating that something has happened to either their family members, carers, or to the police is a problem. Accessibility for persons with disabilities is a real big barrier still. It's a great issue that we are, our police stations are not accessible to them. Police officials are not sensitive towards disability or persons with disabilities and the various needs and requirements of the various categories of persons with disabilities. So say if I'm getting youth, I go to the police station wanting to report. It is an uphill challenge. It is a challenge for any woman, but then it gets far more compounded by the fact of my disability and by the fact that communicating with the police officer is difficult because there are no sign language interpreters that will make the task easier for me. And this is just an example. The other problem with sexual violence and sexual abuse in women with disabilities are a range of myths that people have about disability and sexuality, especially when it concerns women. One spectrum of it is that they are asexual, and the other spectrum of it is that they are hypersexual, that they are that they have repressed sexualities and therefore they're always wanting to have sex, and they are the ones who are eager to want to have sex. So between this broad range, the issue of their sexuality is never really addressed with them. In a country where sexuality is not really addressed for all women, for women with disabilities, it is not addressed at all. Families don't talk about it. People feel, oh, why should she even think of herself in sexual terms because she is a person with disability. She does not fit within the conforms and within our assumed presumptions and assumptions of what beauty is, or what would entitle a woman to think of herself as beautiful or want to represent herself or look beautiful or dress up or wear good clothes or have a sexual life. Women with disabilities just do not fit into that image of that woman that we would expect this from. Yet, women with disabilities are probably amongst one minority of women who are very highly sexually abused in a range of settings, and a lot especially in institutions. Coming from the sexuality perspective, another problem that women with disabilities face is forced sterilization, and this is a major problem with women with intellectual disabilities, and because they think that they are trying to protect them, because they can't always protect them, but they think at least she won't get pregnant, and also trying to avoid to teach them to manage their menstrual cycles, because it's not that they cannot learn, but it is a longer and more difficult process. So let's just get her sterilized. And anyway, she's not going to be capable of becoming a mother. Therefore, what's the point? So she can be sterilized. But what happens as a result of that is, for people who know that this girl has been sterilized, she's open for use. So that results in even more abuse for women that have been sterilized. As I was mentioning, the research study which was done with regard to domestic violence, they came out with the following statistics. I'm going to share them with you. For the physically disabled and the deaf group of women, they put in one group, and the mentally disabled, they put in another group. On rape, they came out with the percentage that the physically disabled group, the 12.6% of women had been raped. In comparison to 24% women from the mental disability group. for touching and pinching, 15% in the physically disabled group, and 19% in the mental disability group. And for forced sterilization, 5 to 7% in the physically disabled and deaf group, and 7.5% in the mentally disabled group. Apart from that, as Smriti said at HRNN, we also have been doing a study on ill treatment and torture of persons with disabilities, and we underwent a process of collecting over 120 testimonies from 19 states of India. We were looking at all forms of ill treatment and torture, so we were looking at mental, physical and sexual, and sharing from the information that we gathered and what we learned from the study. We found that sexual abuse for women with disabilities is prevalent in almost all settings, starting from the family, the community, majorly prevalent in care home facilities, mental asylums, mental institutions, educational institutions, and even in police and army. We are at present doing a case in Assam where a deaf and mute woman was raped, gang raped by army officers. And our study showed a great correlation between abandonment and sexual abuse. In this we found two patterns emerging. One was where a woman with disability was first raped in a home setting, became pregnant, the family didn't want to have anything to do with her, so they abandoned her, and she gets more abused on the streets. The other was because you are a woman with disability, you're left at a railway platform or on a street or at a bus stand, abandoned for being disabled, and then because you're on the street, you're alone, you're vulnerable, you end up being raped, abused, getting pregnant, catching HIV and other such diseases. The other major problem that came out was sexual abuse in institutional settings. Here the key problems that we found were in the monitoring of these institutions, because once you're locked up, these institutions are like closed institutions. No one from outside is allowed inside, and you never get to know what is happening inside to the residents of such institutions. Reporting, who do you report to? There have even been cases where women have reported, but their reports have been dismissed or misunderstood and not taken seriously until they were found to be pregnant. So that is another area of major concern for women with disabilities.